Thank you, Mikey. This is going to be a great week, an absolutely great week. And I hope you are all ready to really fill your mind with phenomenal ideas. Look here for a minute. Put this up, Scott. I want you to really soak this up. You, just think this, you can create your own economy. That's an absolute fact, that you can create your own economy. We're going to talk this week about this stuff. It's called money. Most people want it and haven't got it. I'm going to talk to you about how to get it. Because you can have all the money you want. A man sat down with me in 1961 and he put an R on a sheet of paper. Then he put 3 letters down beside it. He said, Bob, let that R represent results, and the H and W's, that's happiness, health, and wealth. Then he asked me, he said, do you think I'm a happy guy? I thought, yeah, pretty happy. I said, he said, have you ever seen me sick? I had to admit I hadn't. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? I had to admit I hadn't. This guy always had a roll of this stuff, always. And that was the first thing that caught my attention because I never had any. Now, this is in 1961. Gas, you could buy gas 40 cents a gallon. So I was always looking for $2 to get some gas. We'd always buy 5 gallons of gas. Never filled the tank up, never had enough money to. I was always broke. And he said, why don't you change your results? He said, you're going to be one of the most miserable people I've ever met. And I was an unhappy guy. He said, you're always sick and you're always broke. Now, he was being kind. I was actually earning $4,000 a year at the time, but I owed $6,000. I owed everybody and his brother money. And I could never pay them because I never had any money. I'd get paid, it'd all be gone. And he said, why don't you change that? It never entered my mind that I could. It really didn't. And I think there's a lot of people like that. We'd get up, just go to work, and hope things would get better. He said, do you ever read anything? And I said, no, I can't read. Now, that wasn't true. I could, not well, but I could. I've since found out I read about as well as most people. Most people read at about a grade 7 level. And that's because we learned to read by the time we're in grade 7, and we never improve upon the skill from that point on. Well, he said, why don't you take this book and read it? This is Think and Grow Rich. And he told me, he said, if you read this book every day, do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Well, I did not believe that. But you know something? I believed he believed it. And so I decided I was going to listen to him and follow his instruction. But 1 year later, I was earning $175,000 a year. Now, I wasn't actually earning $175,000 a year. I was earning $12,500 a month. But if you annualize that, that's $175 a year. So the year had passed, and I wasn't at 175, but I was, heading towards that. And I had no idea what was happening. Now, there's a couple of lessons here. One, he said, do you have a goal? Now, this is before anything happened. I said, no, I don't have a goal. I have carried, ever since that day, I have carried a goal card with me every day. Every day. And I've got an empty one. Every time I meet somebody and I find out they don't have a goal, I give them one. On one side of this goal card, it says, this great dream, this surging, dynamic thing, invisible to all the world, except to the person who holds it, is responsible for every great advance of humankind. That was written by Earl Nightingale. That's on one side of the goal card, and then you're right, you're going on the other side. Well, I wrote I wanted to have $25,000 by New Year's Day of 1970. I wrote that on in 1961. I didn't believe it would happen. And I didn't believe it would happen at all. But I carried that in my car, or in my pocket. Not that particular goal, but that was the one I was carrying then. And when I started reading, he said, read that every day. So I started to read it, and what happened was I started to hear people talking about earning money. I never heard them talking about earning money before. All I was ever talking about was debt. But reading this card, I started to hear people talk about it. Now, I started to create an awareness of earning money, is what happened to me. And that's what's got to happen to you if you really want to earn a lot of money. And one thing led to another, and I heard a guy say there was good money cleaning floors. I said, I'm not proud, I'll clean floors. So I started to clean one office, $15 at a time to wash the floor, washed it twice a month, $30 a month. And then I got another office to clean, $65 a month. I'm up to $95. That was a lot of money. See, I was only earning $400 a month. Now I've got an extra $100 coming in. Well, you know, at the end of the year, I was at $12,500 a month. It was absolutely incredible. Now, I'm just shortcutting this whole story, but 5 years later, I was doing a lot more money. I was doing over $1 million a year. Now, I was earning all this money, and I had absolutely no idea what happened to change me. See, I was doing the right thing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I was just doing it. But I wasn't charting it and looking it down. Well, this is how you change. My life had really changed. I had offices, to clean offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England. I'm over there, and I'm earning over $1 million. Now I'm just throwing it all over the place. I go down to Playboy on Park Lane, right beside the London Hilton, play roulette. I didn't care if I lost, and as a result, I usually won. One day, I thought, what the heck happened? How did my life change so dramatically? And I didn't know. I did not know. But I felt like I was being irresponsible. And I thought, I'm going to figure out why my life changed so much. My life changed so dramatically. You know, it took me 9.5 years. And when I figured it out, all I wanted to do was teach this to other people. And that's what I've been doing ever since. Now, I want you to look at all these words, because that's what we're going to cover here this week. We're talking about money. We're going to get into paradigms, understanding the mind, perception, decision, attraction, discipline, service. We're going to get into mind and paradigms today. But I want you to look at that. Pay real close attention to that. Because this week, that is what I'm going to teach you. I am going to teach you exactly how to change your life from where you are to where you want to be. And I'm going to get you to remember it. I'm going to get you to remember how you change. See that there? Dad's money pump. Dad's money pump. Now, why would I put that? It sounds so ridiculous. I put it there deliberately. I wanted it to be ridiculous. I have worked with Harry Lorraine, who has the best trained memory in the world. Harry's still living. He's 95 years old. Also 95 years old myself. But at any rate, Harry's 95. He was the best trained memory in the world. And he said, to develop your memory, it's ridiculous association. Ridiculous association. And let's suppose there's this one thing I want you to remember. Here, the sand timer. I want you to see the sand timer running around the room that you're in. I want you to visualize this running around the room you're in. Now, you know that's ridiculous. That's why you'll remember. You see the sand timer running all around the room. Well, I want you to look at all these words. But I want you to remember Dad's money pump. And that will help you remember the words. That's ridiculous. But that'll help you remember the words. Because this is what we're going to study. This is what we're going to study this week. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you right there. That's it. Then I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain it. At the end of the week, I'm going to tell you what I told you. I'm going to explain the whole thing. I want you to remember everything I tell you because I want you to act on it. I want you to act on it. Repetition is the first law of learning. It's getting involved in the same things over and over and over again. See this book? I've been reading it every day since 1961. Now, after a while, it's not an effort anymore. It's a habit. I carry it everywhere I go. I got an elastic on it because the book's fallen apart. It's literally fallen apart. See that? Now, this particular copy, my brother gave to me in 1963. I'd been reading another copy for a couple of years before that. I'll put this back where we got it with the elastic. So I want you to really think. I started to listen to that record. I was reading this book, and I found it on a record. Earl Nightingale had condensed this book and put it on a record. And then I found his Strangest Secret record. That is probably one of the best recordings I have ever listened to. I used to listen to that every day. Every day. And you know, strange things happen. I wanted to get, and I went to meet him. In 1966, I went to meet him. And I was with him for 1 hour. Earl Nightingale is the Dean of Personal Motivation. He and his partner that stand there with him, Lloyd Conant, they really started the industry that I'm a part of now, the personal development industry, in recorded fashion. And I was leaving his office. I had been there for an hour. It was phenomenal. I'll never forget it. He was at 333 North Michigan. Now, he's gone now, God bless him, but he was a phenomenal individual. And I said, Earl, what is the big deal? What is the big deal? He said, there's no big deal, Bob. He said, it's simply a matter of deciding what you love doing and then dedicate your life to it. He said, the problem with most people is they never figure out what they love doing. Well, you know, I've been listening to recorders since his recordings since 1961. This was 1966. He said the problem with most people is they don't know what they want to do, what they love doing. Well, I knew exactly what I loved doing, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do what he was doing. That was in 1966. 1968, I was his vice president of sales. That's right. Moved my family to Chicago. I was his vice president of sales. That was one of the most interesting times of my entire life. Everything in my life started to change. And I was working with two of the most phenomenal people in the personal development industry. I was there for 5 years. It was a phenomenal time. Absolutely incredible. When I left there in 1973, I sat down and I wrote on a card, on my goal card, that I was going to have a company that operated all over the world. I knew that this material should be taught because I knew that repetition was the key to learning it. And just giving it to it on a record wasn't going to do it. People listen to it a couple of times, they think they knew it. You see, one of the problems is when we go to school, we read the book, they give us an exam in the book, and then they say, we've got it if we pass the exam. Well, we haven't got it at all. We haven't got it at all. One thing I noticed about Earl, when I was in his office, he had a book holder on his desk. This is called a book holder. See that? I have that on my desk. Why do I have it on my desk? Because Earl had it on his. And I got a book holder, and I have this book held open. And I asked him at the time, I said, Earl, what is that? He said, well, it's a book holder. And I said, why do you have it? He said, I want to read those 2 pages every day. I said, how long do you read them? Well, he said, different lengths of time. He said, I read them till I see myself doing what he's talking about. He said, you see, Bob, most people just read and then they go to a new book. They're absolutely brilliant. They gather all kinds of information, but they're not doing it. School has us learning a lot of information, but we're not doing it. Well, I started doing it. I started doing what he was doing, and everything started to change. Now, everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants freedom. We want time and money freedom. You are not an exception. You will be amazed at how much free time you have when you never have to think about money. It's absolutely incredible when you stop and really start to think about it. The mind, it's all about the mind. Remember in Dad's Money Pump? Mind was in there. It's all about the mind. Your marvelous mind. You see, understanding your mind and working in harmony with the laws governing the mind is absolutely essential if you want more of this stuff. Now look at, anybody can get this. You can have all you want. All you want. But you've got to earn it. What we're going to talk about is how to earn it. How to earn all you want. It all starts inside. If you don't do it inside, it's never going to happen outside. If you're going to do it inside, you've got to understand how the mind functions. You must. Look at this. Success is 5% strategy, 95% mindset. Now, I didn't always know that. I was sitting with a woman. She's a distributor, consultant of ours, Catherine Weischappel in Germany. I remember I was interviewing her. Gina, my assistant, was sitting with me. She was taking notes. And Catherine said, success is 5% strategy, 95% mindset. I'd never heard that before. I thought about it and I thought, you know something, she's right. That resonated with everything in my mind. It felt perfectly comfortable. 5% strategy, 95% mindset. Well, there's the man that really made an enormous difference in my life. And I met him after I started with Nick Gilconan. Because he's the one that really taught me what I know about the mind, to start off. I had an enormous amount. Keep in mind, I had started studying this in 1961. I was addicted to studying this because I knew that the secrets in life were tied up in these books. In fact, you can have anything you want by getting into enough books and getting enough of the information. Val Vanderwall sat down with me and he said, Bob, most people have no idea how the mind works. Val's gone now. That's a picture of him taken at the $1 Million Forum. The $1 Million Forum is something I started with Mark Victor Hansen, Bernie Thorman, Jack Canfield. We were teaching people how to earn $1 million by setting up multiple sources of income. We'll talk about that this week. And in fact, that's where Mark and Jack started Chicken Soup for the Soul in there. But Vanderwall, he sat down with me and said, I'm going to show you something about the mind. And he talked about a man that he had worked with, got to know. And he said, I want you to look at the mind, and I want you to look at your mind and at your paradigms. Because he said paradigms, Bob, are controlling your life. And he said there was a doctor in 1934, a Dr. Thurman Fleet, who was very involved in the healing arts. He stated the mind is an activity, it's not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. In order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, he said, I'm going to create an image of the mind. No one has ever seen the mind. Now think of this for a moment. A lot of people believe that the mind is the brain. The mind is not the brain. The brain is not the mind any more than your hand is. The brain is an electronic switching station. The mind thinks, it activates brain cells. That's what thinking is. It's mental activity. And as you activate the brain cells, you alter the vibration that this instrument, our body, is in. And when it alters the vibration, you change what you attract into your life. Well, this good doctor said, there's a problem in the healing arts. He said, we're treating the body for disease. And he said, we're treating symptoms. We're not treating the cause of the problem at all. If you're going to treat the cause of the problem, the cause starts in the mind. You're always working from a higher to a lower potential. Think of this for a moment. No one knows what electricity is. No one. No one alive knows what electricity is. But we do know if you're working with electricity, you must work from a higher to a lower potential. Always. And if you try and go contrary to that, you'll get no useful use out of the electricity. You must work from a higher to a lower potential. The only limit on the electricity, we say this is electricity, the lights. That's an expression of electricity. And the only difference here, the difference in expression of electricity, is the size of the light bulb. Put in a bigger bulb, you have a greater expression, more light. The only limit to the mind is on the body. It's the limit that's placed on the form through which it flows, the body. So he said, I'm going to make a picture of the mind. And he said, I want that to represent the mind. And he started to talk about it. He said, that is the conscious mind. That is the subconscious mind. And this is the body. Now, if you want to earn money, you must understand how the mind functions. Because it's the mind that attracts this stuff. This doesn't happen by accident. You see, a lot of people believe that you got to be really smart to earn a lot of money. You don't have to be really smart to earn a lot of money at all. I wasn't very smart, and I was earning over $1 million a year.